10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
And welcome to the Competition Plus Power Hour right here on CompetitionPlus.tv. Be sure to subscribe to the official Competition Plus YouTube channel, but you're also watching us live on the Twitter feed and the Facebook page. So tonight, I do want to make you aware that my co-host Slammin' Sam, he's not going to be on with us tonight. I would say pray for him. He's working out some things personally, nothing to worry about. He needs to work them out, but we do got a great co-host to step in and pinch hit for us tonight, along with yours truly, myself, Lee Craft, the Monday Morning Racer, and that is American Hot Rod Entertainment's Darren Williams Jr. Darren, how's it going tonight, man?
Hey, man, it's going good. Honored to be on the Competition Plus Power Hour tonight. I'm about to have some fun. Let's do it.
Well, we're glad to have you, and I hope that it is truly an honor, and we work it out to be that case and have a great show lined up. Ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Bennett will be on later. He's going to be our insider with some sizzling information from the drag racing world. A lot to talk about in drag racing, Darren. Obviously, first show since the Gatornationals for the Competition Plus crew. What was your take for and from the Gators?
I mean, where do you want to start? I mean, there's so much to talk about. We had records, we had rain, we had first-time winners. Like, where do you want to start from? Because it's so much to talk about. Hey, let's kick it off with the top field all-star call-out and all those things. That was pretty fun, wasn't it?
It definitely was. The rain did dampen the parade, but I commend the NHRA for trying something new and giving it a shot. And I did like the little side bets. Some of them were a bit odd, but I did like the little side bets. And I did like who called out who in the case of, for example, Steve and Leah. I thought the matchup with Antron and Brittany was quite interesting. But yes, overall, good. I love the trash talking, the fun trash talking between Sean Langdon and Mike Salinas. I'm glad they played that up. I'm glad they worked that up. That was cool to see. And I hope we see that going into the next round when we have it completed in, the U.S. Nationals. U.S. Nationals. Wow. That's going to be a while. It's going to be a while till we have that back and they complete it. And it was going to happen the same time they do the funny car version as well. So, folks, just hang on. I'm flying solo just for a few moments with Darren. Must have had a little bit of a connection issue, and he had to drop out. And live, things happen. What did you all think of the Gator Nationals? I know, looking at it, especially Top Fuel, what a shakeup in the points. And there were several individuals that were able to move forward in the points drastically because of the individuals that, did not qualify, such as Leah, Sean, Antron, and you have individuals such as Trip Tatum and Doug Foley with having exceptional days. Congratulations, Trip Tatum, for the win there at the Gatornationals. They move up in the standings and show that these part-time teams, these teams that show up, and when they do show up, you've got to take count of them because they are competitive. They can make a dent into the points situation. Currently, right now, Mike Salinas sits atop. Justin Ashley is second, and Steve Torrance is third. Brittany Force is fourth, and Clay Milliken fifth. Trip Tatum, who won the Gatornationals, sixth. Josh Hart, Doug Foley, Austin Prock, and Doug Coletta rounds out the top 10 with Tony Schumacher just outside. What do you think about Tony being just outside the top 10 right now, Darren?
Crazy, man. 136 points out. I mean, you talk about how crazy Top Fuel is going to be this year. You know, I like to reference a lot about, like, let's go back to 1999. I always like to reference 1999. We talk about the winner's curse and stuff like that. But you talk about how 2022 is going to be so competitive. Well, 1999 was one of the craziest years in top fuel history. So when we look at the points from top to bottom, I mean, you can see a guy pretty much, win a race. And if he's at the bottom of the points, move all the way up, near the top. But if they go out first round, you're going to see them, drop all the way down. So it's going to be pretty crazy in top fuel all year long. You're going to see a lot of shuffling between the top 10 all year long. But to see Tony Schumacher, Sean Langdon, Antron Boys, big time dudes outside the top 10 this early in the season, it's pretty wild. Pretty wild.
Hey, Rob says, you can't fool me. That's not Darren. That's Axel Foley. So can you impersonate Eddie Murphy pretty well?
I cannot. No, I'm not even going to try to do that either.
Man. Okay. He's not going to do that. Hey, but you aren't far from being Beverly Hills Cop. You're in that neck of the woods there in SoCal.
Yeah, 30 minutes away. Not far at all.
Away. There you go.
Yeah, not far at all.
Rodeo Drive,
yeah.
not rodeo. But with what we're seeing, the shakeup in points, again, still going to be a crazy year in top fuel. Well, though big names didn't qualify, big names did show out, as Eric points out, in other categories, Pro Stock and Pro Stock Bike. And I want to throw in Factory Stock with a spectacular runs, records, because of the air conditions that were in Gainesville. Yes. And again, kudos to the NHRA for getting a track prepped that the first session that hits the track is factory stock, and like half the field is quicker than the national record. Mark Powett, laying down the boom. Mm-hmm. What'd you think of the records?
Man, it was nice to finally see the pro stock cars, leading my performance, weekend rather than the nitro cars. We always talk about the nitro cars having great performance. It's great to see the pro stock guys being at the top. But, got to give a shout out to, Aaron Stanfield, that great 646 on Saturday, setting the tone. And then coming back with that great 645 in round number 1. That's actually tied for the third quickest ET in pro stock history, tied with Greg Anderson for third all time. And how about that great 645 by Eric Enders in round number 1, just to get beat on a hole shot? I mean, that was wow. Pro stock racing was amazing. And Nico and Karen Stouffer's amazing 666 round 2 and 668 in round 1, lowering the national record by 600ths of a second. Tim Pelagian and the whole White Alligator racing team. Look out for them in 2022. I'm looking to see how they, build on that momentum next race out.
Definitely. And I think, as Alan Reinhart likes to say, this is a sport about, being at the right time or at the wrong time. He'll mention from the towers often. And yes, though Erica and Mark Powell, they set records and establish great performance, they lose.
Yeah.
They lose.
Yeah.
It goes to show you it is not just about having the fastest or quickest car. You, in fact, have got to be able to leave. And in saying that, that's not to say Erica drove the car terribly or Mark drove the car terribly, but when they needed just a little bit more along with stellar performance, it wasn't there for them to pick up the round win.
I mean, same with Greg Anderson. I mean, he had a great 49 in round number 1. He's out of here first round on the trailer, losing on a whole shot. I mean, you have to get it done at pro stock on the tree too. And I want to give a shout out to Mason McGahey. I mean, that dude is chopping down the tree like crazy. Like, he wins a few round wins just from his starting out ability. So, got to give a shout out to Mason McGahey. They get a better car under him. Watch out, man. Watch out. Like that, he's the real deal.
Yes, he is. And I think Mason McGahey not talked about enough. I feel really Aaron Stanfield not talked about enough. I asked him in the press conference after Phoenix, do you think after going to the final round and going to the final round again and winning that you should be talked about amongst the Erica Enders, the Greg Anderson, and others out there, and really kind of excelling amongst the young crop that is in pro stock at the moment? And we can't let Dallas Glenn fall off the radar either. I mean, we are only 3 races in. There's a lot of racing left, and I don't know if we can, at this moment in any class, showcase or say, here is the standout, because we still have not gotten to that portion of the year in which it's hot and it's sticky, and the tuners that can get a car from nitro ranks to the naturally aspirated ranks, get cars down in hot conditions. they're the ones that's going to be placing themselves in the right place, running into the countdown.
Can I say something real quick about Dallas Glenn, though? Like, for him to have, going out round 2 in Pomona and then losing first round in Phoenix. And then, obviously they only got one qualifying session in Gainesville, but qualifying number 8, I mean, he kind of went into eliminations with the odds stacked against him. You go up against TJ, Elite Motorsports right there, first round, take him out. And then you go up against Aaron Stanfield, the number 1 qualifier, who had that, like I said, had that great 646 in qualifying and then another great 645 in round number 1. And then to beat him in the second round and then go on to win the race. I mean, I don't think any of us expected Dallas Glenn to be in a winner's circle in Gainesville, and he pulled it out. That just goes to show a great championship medal right there from Dallas Glenn.
For sure, even coming off a foot injury.
Exactly, that too.
Yes. Good to him. Good to him. So, Funny Car Man. Well, the points, not so much of a shakeup in the Funny Car ranks. Funny Car didn't have to go out there and worry about any guise of competition due to a call-out all-star shootout type of program. Robert Hight still sits atop. Matt Hagan, Ron Capps, Cruz Petragon, John Force in 5th, Tim Wilkerson, Bob Tasca, Alexis DeJoria, Chad Green in 9th, rounding out the top 10, J.R. Todd. And even Terry Haddock is sitting in 11th. So I would say right now, Funny Car seems pretty similar as it was last year towards the end of the year, maybe, shaked out a little bit differently, but all the major players are there and competitive. And then Blake Alexander, he sits 13th after one race, making the final round. Later on, we'll have him on tonight as our first guest on the show. So definitely some highly competitive cars. For me, looking at the list, Paul Lee is the one that I'm surprised by. He was a stone cold killer in round 1 last year, and that has not been the case so far in 2022.
No, they have come out the block struggling big time here in 2022. And I think we're going to hear in a little bit, there may be some changes coming in the works with that team. I don't know. We'll have to see in a couple of minutes, actually.
Yes, Bobby Bennett providing the insider information for us tonight here in just a few moments. I also want to ask, do you think maybe the Toyota camp is still trying to figure some things out with this body? Alexis DeJoria, 8th, J.R. Todd, 10th, and yeah,
I would say so.
What's going on?
You saw them make some great runs in testing in Phoenix, but like we saw in Gainesville, both cars out in the first round in Gainesville, it may take them a little while to get this thing dialed in, but I expect them by midseason, they'll be off and rolling. I think they'll be fine. They have great tuners over there, great parts and pieces. But, just going back on the points right now, it's still early, and we know other guys are going to step up. We know Cruz is going to step up. We know John's going to step up. We know J.R. Todd's going to step up. But right now, through the first 3 races, I really feel like Robert Hight, Matt Hagan, and Ron Capps have kind of set themselves apart just a little bit, not by much, but just a little bit. You think about Robert Hight, 2 wins this season, a second round loss in Gainesville. Matt Hagan, a final and a win, and then Ron Capps is real consistent, had low ET top speed at the Gatornationals. I feel like these 3 guys have really set themselves apart right now. And like I said, it's still very early. We're going to see some other guys come on, but you think about it, Robert Hight, 13 of his first 14 runs to start the season are all in the 380s. I mean, how amazing is that? And then even after Gainesville, he still sits at 14 out of 17 in the 380s. I know it's going to get hotter soon, so he's not going to be able to continue that. But I mean, have we ever seen a start to the season like that? I mean, just crazy.
Not that I can recall, especially in Nitro Funny Car. And I mean, not just 3 races a season, but a test session and the 3 races of the season.
Yes.
I mean, because that test session with those first 2 races, you almost have to look at it as a little mini, Southwestern tour for the crew, the car, the team, all of those guys. And they were able to pull off back-to-back wins in stellar fashion. So the little trip up, if you want to say, of the Gatornationals, I don't think we're going to see that continue at all. But Matt Hagan, if I remember correctly, semifinal, final, win. Can he go back-to-back now in the 4-wide that is coming up in Las Vegas and really establish dominance? And kudos and congratulations to Tony Stewart Racing getting the first win. And I'm not shocked that it's Matt Hagan delivering on it, because that was in essence a wholesale shift with that team to TSR.
And then just think about it right here. So we talk about Robert, 2 wins in the second round. Matt Hagan, a semi, a final, and a win. They're both tied with 9-round wins apiece so far this season. That only 11-point gap right now is basically just little qualifying points, a little bonus points right there. So they've pretty much been even to start the first 3 races of the season. Man, I'm excited to see how this all plays out. This is going to be pretty fun.
It is going to be fun. Well, look, we're going to take a break, folks. Right after this break, Bobby Bennett with some insider information right here on the Competition Plus Power Hour, presented by Weldon High Performance. You need to get things pumping. It's Weldon High Performance that you need.
What a sexy face.
Go ahead, Bobby.
What a sexy face. That's your inside information today.
There we go. Yes.
Okay. Well, a lot of stuff was going down at Gainesville with the rain. When it rains in Gainesville, it pours, the stories come out. So I can tell you that the A-Fuel funny car is not a dead thing in NHRA. NHRA is seriously considering making a run at the A-Fuel class. A-Fuel classification within the top alcohol funny car division. And there's a definite need for more tuners coming out of that style of racing that can advance into the Camping World Series, because in case you haven't noticed, we've got a shortage of crew chiefs over there. And the hope is that more tuners can be groomed, future tuners can be groomed. Now, you will see an A-Fuel funny car at the upcoming Funny Car Chaos, as Julie Nattis and I know I probably butchered the name again, guys, but they will have an A-Fuel funny car running out of the Randy Meyer camp. So that's one of the big things to watch coming here in the next few weeks, that the NHRA will probably start ramping up promoting this idea again, because last we looked, the top alcohol funny car counts have not been that impressive. So just an idea of some things that's coming. Secondly, of course, you may see, don't be surprised if you see Jim Oberhofer over in the Clay Milliken pits. That's about all we're going to say about that. I think pretty much you can put 2 and 2 together. But don't be surprised if the rumors play out and you see Jimmo over there with Clay. And so, those are some of the things that are going around, floating around the pits these days. So, guys, you got any questions?
Yes, Bobby, I do have a question, not related to anything Nitro. John Montecalvo, as reported on Competition Plus, will be stepping in a Ford. You know what has froze over, and doing it with Roy Heel. How's that going to work out? But I've got to ask, in the article, does that include PDRA and NHRA, or is it one or the other?
From what we understand, it's supposed to be both series and maybe an ADRL event here and there if there are any. But yeah, just like I said in the story, the opening story, there have been easier to believe scenarios like the cow jumping over the moon and the dish running away with the spoon than this one happening. But I think the biggest challenge these guys are going to have is probably understanding one another, because you got one speaks Yankee and one speaks fluent redneckanese.
I got a question, Bobby. We talk about, the A-Field funny car and stuff like that. You talk about the A-Field dragster, how that's kind of like a stepping stone to top field dragster. Do you feel like this A-Field funny car will be a great stepping stone to people who might want to jump into nitro funny car and stuff like that in the future?
Absolutely, because when you look at the car, when you look at the top alcohol funny car division, the blown alcohol combination is clearly the most efficient in the whole program, but it's not relative to what they're running in nitro and fuel funny car, because what is it? It's got a blower, it's got 4 wheels, but outside of that, and the 8 pistons, but the alcohol is a totally different world. And so what the NHRA sees is that maybe these tuners can get more interest in the A-Fuel funny cars. And I think the Randy Meyer group stepping into there could be a Pied Piper kind of thing. I really believe that will lead to more, because, when you have a big name jump in there with something like that, it tends to get people to thinking, well, maybe there's some substance for this. And it's going to take some careful rules planning, because we see what it did to the dragster side. I mean, it's very rare we see a blown alcohol dragster anymore. And I believe it was, anyway, I was going off on a tangent and then my mind went blank. But anyway, it's, I think that the Randy Meyer fielding a injected nitro funny car is going to be a big thing. And I will tell you, this is pretty interesting, because the original design of Pro Modified never included these supercharged alcohol door slammers, not at all. The original design, per Ted Jones, one of the founders of the class, was supposed to be nitrous injected door slammers and injected nitro door slammers. Now, I would think that NHRA might give the injected nitro cars door slammers a chance in Pro Modified, but there's one key safety issue, and that's about escaping out of the car in the event of a fire. It's not a center-driven car, so you can't just pop straight up. I mean, the car is a left-hand drive car, so that creates pretty much a safety issue for the thing. That's probably why you haven't seen them so excited about getting in on this.
Very true. Nitro and a door slammer. Bill Coolman. Yes.
Yeah, we know how that one
was massive.
I mean, such a great racer, and he was running basically a funny car, a suspended funny car with doors on it. Left-hand drive, and that was. We are so lucky to have Bill Coolman after that deal.
Definitely. Well, some interesting developments in the drag racing world with new combinations, and we'll see it all play out a little bit at the Chaos here in this weekend. So looking forward to that. Bobby, thank you for the insider information. Hey, we'll let you go, man.
I do have some more insider, and it relates to our show.
Go ahead.
Stevie Jackson, supposed to be on later on today.
Right.
He's in bed with 102-degree temperature.
Not good.
He's down for the count. But I also know that Justin Ashley just inked a monumental deal today with the Phillips Connect team. And so we're going to have him on instead of Stevie Fast tonight. We're going to let Stevie Fast rest and get better for us.
All right. Sounds good, man. We'll have to get Stevie another time, and we'll talk to Justin about the new deal and everything else. It's an all nitro show. Thank you, Bobby.
Yeah, Darren, I'm glad to see you on our show, still wanting to hang out with us after we worked you like a dog at Bakersfield.
Hey, man, I'm just happy for the opportunity. Thank you. But Bakersfield was a lot of fun. I learned a lot, so I'm ready to learn a lot more too.
Good deal. He'll be in Charlotte, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
There's
sir.
your other inside tip.
Let's do it.
Take care, Bobby.
Thank you, sir.
Get your CompetitionPlus.com apparel today. Whether it's our nitro-burning funny car design or the vibrant door slammer design, we have the swag to show you are always in the know. Get yourself a hat too. And we know not everyone enjoys wearing a mask, but if you must wear one, at least wear a good-looking one. Check out the new CompetitionPlusApparel.com for the latest from the place where you have trusted for your news on the internet for over 2 decades.
Well, as Sunset Chasin', I like that name, says, get better, Stevie, fast. Yes, Stevie, hope you get better, man, and we have you on the show soon. A lot to talk with him about. We haven't had him on in a little over a year, I believe it is, so definitely want to get Stevie on. There's a lot to talk about, from Bubba Stanton to issues right now in the pro modified ranks of the NHRA.
Can I give a quick shout out? Because Funny Car Chaos is this weekend. I want to give a shout out to Bobby Cottrell, the 4-time NHRA Hot Rod Heritage Series Nostalgia Funny Car champion. I believe he'll be running a funny car out at Funny Car Chaos this weekend. It won't be the 69 Camaro Bardall car owned by Bucky Austin, but he will be at Funny Car Chaos. I want to give a shout out to him. Best of luck to him this weekend.
Yes, Funny Car Chaos, definitely over 60 funny cars will be there in competition. And as already shared with Julie's announcement, the Myers Racing Camp injected nitro funny car. There's not that many of them out there, and coming out from the camp that definitely understands injected nitro with the dragster variety. And I wonder, I definitely, that is an interview I definitely have got to go get. And maybe not even so much Julie, but more Randy. Randy, like, what percentage are we talking about? What have we done far as clutch? And how is this thing propelling itself down the track? And how similar is this to an A-fuel dragster? If you decided to go completely different in combination and try to figure something out. So that combination, but there's also other combinations that are going to be out there that I've got to say to everyone watching, pay attention to Funny Car Chaos, because what is so beautiful about the chaos is all these different combinations coming together and racing heads up in good old-fashioned run what you brung fashion, whether it's a nitro burner, an alky burner, whether it's turbos, nitrous-assisted, injected nitro, whatever. You can run it there at Funny Car Chaos. Chris Graves even told the guy with the jet funny car, hey, you want to run that? Run that. So, I mean, we might see that enter for all we know.
Man, it's going to be a lot of fun. But just piggybacking off the Randy Meyer Racing deal, you know, what I love, too, is that, you know, they're not just going to run this thing as a funny car, too. I also read in the article that they're going to try to turn this thing into a field altered also, just to try to diversify the program. So looking forward to seeing how that all plays out. That seems like it's going to be pretty cool.
And it is an interesting statement on the world of drag racing right now, with him diversifying as a program. And what is Randy's intentions? And what I mean by that, is it to become, as it were, a practical training place for people to step into the upper echelons of our sport, namely NHRA professional drag racing in top fuel, funny car, or find themselves professional nostalgia type rides that you see at Bakersfield in the front engine dragster department, or the Heritage Series in a funny car, you know, those type of rides, because with having all those different configurations, especially in the Midwest where they are in and out of, they are definitely going to be able to do a lot more drag racing than just putting that dragster in the beams at NHRA national events or regional events. I mean, with the altered configuration, we could see the Myers competing in Nitro Chaos when those two races come up at Eddyville and Mocan. And he did mention running the funny car more often. So I expect to see him again at a Funny Car Chaos event, possibly this year, somewhere else down the line. So it seems like it may be a complete expansion of his program to really infuse new blood into the sport.
And I mean, that's kind of like what we've been talking about, right? That's what we need. We need, these new younger drivers in the sport to continue the sport to grow and continue on. So I love it. I love everything that Randy Meyer is doing. He's a big time name, runs a tip top program. So let's see how it all plays out.
Yes, it's going to be interesting. And do we possibly lose? I mean, what happens if Julie gets in this funny car and it's like, I like this a whole lot better than my dragster?
He said that in an article. He was like, she might not want to go back to dragsters after driving a funny car. He said it himself.
Right. You never know. We definitely got someone coming up that we can talk to about the Top Fuel and the funny car comparison. And one of our first guests, Blake Alexander, we'll be having him on in a few moments. Again, Justin Ashley will be pinch hinting for Stevie Fast Jackson as he's got a fever, but we've definitely got a lot to talk with him later on tonight. Always something, it seems like, coming out of the Ashley camp news-wise. So, Darren.
Yes, sir.
Anything else before we bring Mr. Alexander on?
No, I think that's about it. Jasmine Salinas getting her first career national event win at the Gatornationals. That was pretty cool too. I don't know if you covered that because just gotta say, my camera out of all the ways it wants to do it, it just pops off right in the middle of the show. Never does it before, but first time a Competition Plus Power Hour, it wants to pop off. Why? I don't know why, but hey, I'm back.
Because you're still a rook, man. No, I'm joking. No, you're doing a fabulous job, and it's good to have you along for tonight. Yes, I think a redemption story in Jasmine Salinas going out there and getting that win because she completely destroyed a car there last year. And I'm definitely glad there was no destruction like that this year because if she landed where she did, it would have been out in the middle of the mud field. It'd been very interesting and bring up even possibly a safety concern of like, how do people get to someone in a situation when everything's all muck and mire? Because, Friday night, Saturday morning, that place looked like they were doing mud buggies out there, more of the drag racing.
And you saw a gator.
Yes, and there was a gator sighting. You've got to have that. At the Gatornationals. Well, Darren, look, we're going to take a break, and right after the break, we will bring on our first guest running in the NHRA Camping World Funny Car Ranks, Mr. Blake Alexander, right after this word from Holly Performance. You need to get it lit up. It's Holly.
Classic car owners, make your headlights over twice as bright with Holly Retro Bright LED headlights. A plug-in replacement for those dim halogen seal beams, Retro Bright maintains that classic look and lasts 6 times longer. Stay safe and click the link below to learn more.
Blake Alexander, welcome to the Competition Plus Power Hour, man.
How you guys doing? What's up?
Great, doing great.
Doing good, man.
Well, Blake, look, Gatornationals, congratulations on a final round appearance. Definitely a good outing for your team, with it being the first national event of the year for head racing. Talk to me about the soggy yet triumphant event it was, qualifying and round by round.
Yeah, initially I think we were kind of wondering why we were there and didn't know exactly what was going on with the weather. And then just kind of navigated through qualifying like everyone else did, and kind of just tried to sneak it down the track. But also the conditions were so killer that you kind of had to press as well. And then really just kind of stuck with the setup that we, initially went with, and kind of tweaked on it for here and there as the sun came out or the sun went away. And it was a good weekend.
So just talk about how much hard work went into trying to get this car actually on track. Because I think I heard something like you guys didn't get the trailer till like a week before the event. So just how much actually led up to trying to get this car on track, and then to go out and lay down a 91 right off the trailer. I mean, just a real testament to your whole team.
Yeah, the guys were working really hard. They, like you said, only got the trailer a week before we had to leave. So it was like 10 days, I think, before we were on the track or something like that. And they worked 10-hour days, basically 12-hour days were just the norm. And leading up to that, I think Robert Schwab, he got down to the shop. He lives in Utah, and he started working on January 1st and hasn't really had a day off since then. And the trailer actually even had, like, it wasn't complete yet. So they got it and just got it loaded up with what they needed to go drag racing. And we were kind of like, all we had was a beer fridge and 2 computers to run the race car up in the lounge and some plastic tables.
Wow. That's getting it done in record time to even get there under record conditions and have a good race. Man, looking over your Sunday, you took out some big names. I mean, we're talking about J.R. Todd, Cruz Petragon, Ron Capps, and eventually fell to Matt Hagan in the finals. But no shame whatsoever. You went through a hard part of the ladder to accomplish what you all did that weekend.
Yeah, I think everyone we raced was a world champion, and they all obviously didn't have their best stuff throughout the day. I mean, Hagan did eventually when we ran him, but it was tricky conditions, and we were just fortunate to kind of stick ourselves in a good qualifying position. And then, like I said, we kind of just stuck with that setup. So, yeah, but each person we raced, like JR is one of the best guys, I think, in the sport at leaving. And because I've raced Top Fuel and Funny Car, so I can kind of, I've compared both different classes, and there's a lot of really good drivers in both, but JR and Matt are kind of the class of our field at leaving, and do it, without staging the car with the headers. And so I really like racing him always. And it was cool to finally, I think I've never beat him before, so it was cool to beat him. And then, the next round Cruz, I've always enjoyed racing him as well. I've raced him for like 10 years now or something like that. And he always kind of has been cool to me and giving me props as I was young when he didn't need to. And everyone, throughout the day, it just kind of caps, he was a champion last year. And then Hagan, I've been racing against him since we were like 16 years old. And we're from Virginia, kind of grew up together and raced together throughout, our early career.
Yeah, not only did you go through 3 champions that day, but I want to talk about a little bit about your crew, because I heard that you guys actually have some new guys on the team that probably never even heard a nitro car before this year even started. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually probably one of the cooler parts about the whole situation and story. And we kind of knew going into it that it was going to be a learning process. And we since obviously to track back the accident that happened, we it just was kind of like rebuilding the whole team, not just from a nuts and bolts perspective or tools or parts and pieces, but we also had some guys that decided they wanted to go spend time with family after that. And it's very, understand that. And they've been doing it for a long time. And these new guys came in and kind of were green, but also had been practicing in the shop, but had never done a service, under pressure with TV cameras on them and the bright lights on. And we got them to do 4 of them in a row, because there was really no qualifying. Like, yeah, you make one run. It's just like a chill service then, though. And you have, all night to do it and all morning. And you can kind of be watched over by your peers who have been doing it longer. But these guys kind of like got their feet put to the fire right away. And all of us kind of were picking up the slack just because they're new, but also they were doing a great job at the same time. But yeah, they'd never heard a nitro car before. And I remember like seeing them, I was like, when we do the burnout, they're probably going to freak out, just because like, once the car is even running in the pits, they sound, pretty mean, but when you hit the gas in them, they're pretty loud.
Do we have their reaction on video, though? We have to see it on video. Got to see the reaction.
I was in the damn car. I didn't take a video, but yeah, I think all the guys, their eyes are wide open. And I think we realized like after that weekend, it was just cool that they came out and did a good job. I mean, like they deserve credit. And obviously like the cool thing is that we weren't perfect that weekend and have room to grow. And, like all those guys who I raced against, they're going to have better weekends, and we need to be better prepared to compete against them, because when you go to Vegas, the racetrack's tight and it's good, and there's no one's really struggling to get down the track there. Everyone can kind of go out there and rip.
So the Gatornationals being the first race out for head racing since the terrible accident, definitely I know there had to be a lot of emotions for the team. Is that something that was new for you in motorsports to experience? And how did you yourself and as a team, how did y'all get through all of the emotions to actually do the job and do as well as the team did?
Yeah, I mean, it is new for me. I'd never really experienced anything like that. I'm pretty new to like just, I don't know, not very good at dealing with emotions. And, but like throughout the day, obviously I was crying on TV and we were all thinking of Dylan, and even like just getting the trucks on the road. And while the guys were driving down there, the guys who had worked there previously and kind of been through the ringer with me, they, you know, it was emotional just talking to them while they were driving because of what happened the last time we were on the road. And I think that we're totally like kind of in awe that we get to do this again, because when I first started doing this, it was just like a dream and you were showing up and trying to compete. And then as you go on and continue to do it, I think I've been doing this for 11 or 12 years now or something like that. It just turns into like a job somewhat, and you forget that you're so fortunate to even get to be involved in it. And, you know, the sport has given back to me a lot, and I realize that there's still plenty more for me to do in it. And we're just fortunate that we get to do it.
And we have a great comment here from John Garrett. He says, Jim Head and Johnny Davis are good teachers. And so that kind of piggybacks on what I want to ask. You know, as far as Jim Head working with him, does he kind of take like the mentor mentality, or does he kind of step back and let you guys kind of do your own thing?
He can get very involved, but also he just he expects the people that work for him to do their job. And there's times where him and I are talking regularly throughout the week. And then there's also times where we don't talk for a couple of weeks and just kind of, you know, he expects us to do our thing, but he's pretty involved, and he's actually really sharp with everything still, and on top of it. And he showed that last weekend. So we just kind of had to make a little bit of a different commitment to going down the racetrack at the first race, and kind of keep imploring that throughout the year so that we can, you know, continue to compete with these guys. Your success rate going down the racetrack a lot of times reflects, you know, how good you're doing on the race, in the race. And sorry, I just see these comments coming in. And, but yeah, so he's pretty hands-on. And Johnny Davis is also like, he was the reason why we could bring in all these new crew guys and just go out there and do our thing, because he's basically in charge of the car and Jim's in charge of the whole setup on the car.
Well, speaking of Mr. Head, I've got to ask, like, what kind of dude is he? Like, he seems like he's this very eccentric character out there in drag racing. Like, all the way back in the day, like, there's a cover of him on a drag racing magazine with his funny cars, like 1985, bunch of girls all around it. Like, he was that dude. Wealthy, had the funny car, winning races and championships, and girls around him. I mean, like, is that
he's
what
still that
he's
dude.
like? He's still, see, I'm looking at days. He's still that dude.
He's still that dude, and you just can't really be that dude as eccentric anymore. But you know, we enjoy, we have fun. I don't know how else to say it. Like, I freaking have fun. I'm excited to go out to Vegas with them and get back to doing it. My wife comes and hangs out, and last race we were in Vegas, we bought him a selfie stick, and we're clowning, you know, making jokes Sunday morning before. I don't know. We just have fun, and we don't we take it. He's the most serious person I've ever met at times, but also he's a funny dude, and we kind of have, like, you know, the same idea about it, taking business very seriously, but also at the same time we have a lot of fun, and don't ever forget that.
Well, knowing how Chad Head is, I'm pretty sure, you know, Jim's a lot of fun to be around. So
they're pretty similar.
Yeah.
They're pretty similar.
I want to go back a little further. And it's just because I saw a video about you about, I would say 8 years ago or something like that. And it was actually on Competition Plus. And you were saying how, you know, your favorite drivers back in the day was the great Blaine Johnson and Pat Austin. You know, two great names in the world of drag racing. I don't know if they're still your favorite drivers now, but, you know, back at that time, was there anything you kind of took from them to help you get to where you are and have the success you have had? And, you know, do you have any, you know, great memories, talking to them and stuff like that?
Yeah, it was just that they gave me time, I think, was like really just, I still try to give people time because, I don't know, man, like, it's like I said to you earlier, I'm very fortunate that I get to do this, and they would come up to the ropes and talk to me and pull me in near the car, and kind of just would be kind of like people who give me time and pay attention to me, whereas not other, I think that might have been why I like them more than anything. Also, they won a bunch, so I was probably played into it too, but yeah, they gave me time, and the opportunity to talk to them was a lot less. When I was a little kid, everyone was cool out there, so it was awesome to be to be able to spend time with them and talk to them, and then also get to see them do well driving. And I kind of have watched, in retroactively on YouTube and stuff of what they've done, but I had no idea when I was a little kid what they were doing out there driving.
So with that being said, Blake, what is the journey for you as a fan, as a kid, seeing what those guys are doing to now you are doing it yourself, Top Fuel Funny Car? How did it transpire? Because I'll be honest, I don't know if that story gets out enough. I think people hear Blake Alexander and are like, who? Even still to this day, even though, I mean, obviously with your team and what you did at the Gators and other times performance-wise, they should definitely take note and know who Blake Alexander is.
I just work really hard, and, I don't really have my family doesn't pay for anything that I do. And my wife and I both wake up in the morning really early and work hard on being good parents and try to be a good business partner to Jim. And we just try to do our best, for all the people that kind of count on us. And ever since I was a kid, I kind of wanted to do this. And my old man always used to tell me that I would have to get sponsors and make ends meet. And I eventually started doing that. And then when I was 16 or 17, he told me that he couldn't afford to keep, I was racing comp eliminator with him, and he couldn't really afford to keep doing it. So I had to go find other people to drive for and take the money that I had in the pile and kind of keep growing that pile and moving on to wherever I can go. And that's one thing I guess I've learned is that it's just sport takes a lot of money, and it's not getting any smaller necessarily. And that's one of the big challenges. But simultaneously, I'm fortunate that I get to do it. I'm fortunate that I've met a lot of the people who I've met and positioned myself where I need to position myself. So I keep trying to do that. And obviously the driving and stuff is just second. Everyone who knows me kind of realizes that all the work I put in kind of is primary, and then driving is secondary, because I don't just get paid to drive the car. In fact, I wouldn't get to drive unless I brought money, because like I said, I'm just not it's never been my journey.
Gotcha, man. And I remember the days when you used to drive for Paul Smith back in the day, man. Used to come in there and do it big back in the day. But I want to ask
God bless you. God bless you.
Yeah, I've worked for some crazy people, and I love Paul. I love that.
So, and I want to ask this, because I think it just kind of goes to, like you said, you worked really hard. When you were driving for Bob Vandergriff and you had success, you won a few races, and then obviously at the end of the year, you said, hey, I'm gonna go off and start my own team. And I thought that was so cool, because I always say you have the eye of the tiger. You could tell you're very committed to this and passionate about this, and you want this. That's what I always loved about you. But how, in that moment, how much of a risk was that, though, to leave a winning car to start your own thing? And what was kind of the thought process around that?
I mean, there's other stuff going on that I don't want to get into, but I was trying to kind of position myself to do what was best for my family. And I didn't really know exactly what I was going to do when I left Vandergriff's team. And then I told Wilkerson I was going to buy all that stuff from Brian up in Minnesota. And he told me no. And then I told him I'm going to do it anyway, with or without you. And I want your son to be involved. And they're still really good friends of mine, like the Wilkersons. And I talk to Dan and all those guys on Chad's car all the time. So, yeah, I mean, there was some risk involved in it. And there always is. I've started other businesses and been involved in other businesses. And there's never a first year of any business that's without risk. So we went out there and did what we did and had fun, and, showed up and represented my sponsors and did what we, I run a big hospitality event at every race and try to take care of all the Pronto Auto Service Center people and just allow them to have fun at the racetrack. I think that's a lot of the people in hospitality kind of forget that. And we have people drinking booze and watching sports in our hospitality area and having fun. And I don't know. That's just basically what we try to do.
Hey, nothing wrong having fun at the track for sure, and taking care of those guests.
Yeah.
With the rest of 2022, what does it look like for Blake Alexander and Head Racing with getting the first race under your belt and doing so well?
So hopefully more of the same. I mean, we're going to go to about every race. I think there's a couple we'll miss just here and there when there's weekends stacked up on top of each other. We tend to we'll take one off or I don't know if we are going to go to Denver just because you have to switch everything over on the car and it's a lot of work. We sound lazy, but we're just, we have a lot of guys on the team that have been doing this for so long that they need some time off, and Jim needs to go to do his thing. He likes to go to his place down in the Turks, and I like to travel too. So it worked out well for me. But yeah, I mean, I guess we're starting off on the right foot. And last year we didn't go to all the races and kind of snuck into the countdown and I don't know, we don't really have any desire to necessarily try, but eventually when you're there at the last 2 or 3 races, you kind of look at it and try to figure out if you're going to be able to do it or not. So that'll probably be kind of the goal too. And then last year when we got into the countdown, obviously we struggled right at the beginning of it and then didn't even finish it with the accident. So need to kind of go back and exercise, through that and do a little better and try to just make it through the year this year and do it for Dylan.
I hear you on that. Darren, do you hear he's a traveling man. He likes to travel.
Yeah.
So Blake,
my wife likes to travel.
Give us the top 5 spots in the United States of America.
Drag racing. I like going to Sonoma a lot. I like to go there. My wife likes to go there. I mean, Vegas isn't bad either. It's a fun race to go to. I don't know. I'd like to give some sleeper picks on places that I like to go, like Epping. I had my wife come up there last year because it doesn't sound like the sexiest place in the world to go to, but when you go up there during the summer, it's really nice and kind of like Minnesota vibe during the summer. It's really nice. And I like the Pacific Northwest too. We haven't got to race there since 2019, so it'll be cool to go back there. I'm from Southern California, so I like, obviously that's cool too. There's just way too many people there now and it's so expensive. So I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have hated on my old town like that, but none of my family lives there anymore. They all kind of moved out to Phoenix or wherever grandparents go now once the people don't live in California when they're 75 or 80 anymore.
No. And I agree with you. Epping is such
a rustic racetrack.
Yeah, it's such an awkward gym on the NHRA schedule. It's like a true throwback track. And it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have the greatest facilities in the world, but yet they do try to take care of the fan. I love the first time I went, I could see they were making an effort. They brought in extra restrooms, and they were actually nice portable restrooms and things like that. And they've got the heel you can sit on toward the end of the drag strip. It's very eclectic, I would say, and it's such a picturesque area up there during that time in the little towns in New England. Quite, I don't know, Americana with some nitro.
There was a kid on our race team last year who had never seen the Atlantic Ocean, and we got done setting up, and I was like, I mean, we have to go see this. This is we're pretty close to the Atlantic Ocean. It was like a 30-minute drive, and we actually went too far, and we were like, holy crap, we're in Maine. I don't know, all the states up there are pretty small, and we ended up having a lot of fun though, and showed him the Atlantic Ocean, and went out there and had fun racing. So it was a good time up there. I don't know. I didn't really give you a concise answer about. I like going everywhere. I need to. Once I've been home for a couple of weeks, I feel like I need to go somewhere.
I understand that. Truly, I do.
Well, I've never been to New England, so I can't really give my opinion, but hopefully to make it there soon. But from what you guys all say, it's been pretty great. But I got a comment here from Drag Racing Central. He says, funny car or Top Fuel dragster?
I don't want to hate on Top Fuel, but the answer is funny car. And people who have driven both know.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, a Top Fuel car is still really cool, and it's fast, and you're clean, and the crew guys are clean. But you got to kind of be a glutton for punishment to do funny car in multiple different ways. And all the crew guys have, they got to lift the body on and off. And when a funny car catches on fire, you kind of just like have a huge, massive shitstorm. Sorry, and everything, the wires are burnt, and all your cables are burnt, and like everything's burnt. And in a top fuel car, you kind of just get out and wipe the wing off, and you're like, wow, it blew up. I didn't even know. So I don't know. I drove a funny car first and really enjoyed it's actually this year top fuel is a more challenging class, but for a while funny car was more challenging. And I mean, funny car is still hard, don't get me wrong. There's still like 11 or 12 fully funded cars that run in it and do the whole tour. But yeah, it was just I like steering the car and having the feeling of like having to let the chutes out while your hands are crossed, and just at the end of the day, I know what I'm doing in there is like not the most simple thing in the world, and sometimes you can just make a good run in a top fuel car, and the thing could have gone down the track without the steering wheel on the car. And Doug Herbert did that one time. He didn't hit the wall till after the finish line, so there's some proof for you.
I've heard Langdon say that before too. I've heard Langdon say he's gotten down there and his steering wheel came off. So I guess that's happens like pretty often.
I mean, like you do have to steer them sometimes, and I'm obviously trying to like be some tough guy that I'm really not, but it is like challenging to drive top fuel too, just because like one of the most dominant teams in the sport is competing in it, and on top of that, they have a bigger tuning window. So when someone kind of strikes it right, like when Grubby or Hogan and Bobby kind of get on their game in those things, it's like they can go up and down the racetrack all day and be running pretty consistent and pretty good. I mean, some of the guys in funny car can do that as well, but as the day goes on, if the track heats up or there's some small different things that happen, funny car kind of turns into a little bit more of a crapshoot, just like it has for the last 20 or 30 years.
Well, with you saying funny car over top fuel, I definitely have to, on behalf of Funny Car Chaos, ask, could we ever see Head Racing and Blake Alexander at a Funny Car Chaos event?
I mean, we've got enough on our plate right now, just trying to get our trailer to be functional. But and Jim just sold his nostalgia funny car. I think Matt Bynum actually, whoever he's driving for now, got it, and they're gonna run it. So I don't know. I guess we could put a car together to do it, but we have plenty of stuff going on right now. Running the amount of races that we run, it's not like something that you can just kind of half-ass go into and put another car together. Because I mean, I guess you can run a fuel car at it though. I guess we can show up there.
That's right.
We talked about it before. The problem is you just don't costs a lot of money to run a fuel car, and I don't know how much you get paid for showing up to that deal.
Okay.
Sorry to bring money into it.
No, it's part of it, man. It's part of it.
We've talked about it before, to be honest with you, though. And then we looked at how much. We were like, "Oh, dude, we go down there; it'll be fun." And then we looked at how much it paid, and we were like, "Maybe it wouldn't be that fun." So.
All right. Well, maybe that payout thing will work, or we find that particular sponsor.
I don't know. We'll figure it out one day. If we can get through this year, we'll be happy, and then we can kind of have a normal off season, because with the last, what happened to us last year, and then the year before was like COVID, and we ran like 8 races in Indy, and then I had a kid, and then was gone like 7 straight weeks, and then we just want a normal off season. That's all. but obviously we're happy we're racing again too. It's just the last 2 off seasons haven't been very normal.
All right. Well, Blake, look, thank you for your time, man. Again, congratulations on that final round appearance at the Gatornationals, and congratulations to you and the whole team just getting back to racing. And we look forward to what Head Racing has in store for all in the drag racing world to come. Thank you, man.
Yeah, it's good talking to you guys. Thank you for having me on.
Appreciate it. Darren, it was good to see Jim Head Racing have such a good day there at the Gatornationals.
Yes, sir. And like I said earlier, for them to have all they had, all the, the tragedy they had in the off season, all the work they had to do leading up to the season, not getting the trailer, 10 days before the Gatornationals, and to come off the trailer and lay down a 91 first run out. I mean, just a testament to Jim Head and that whole team. Like Jim Head, grizzly old veteran, come out and run 91 after all that, and then go 96, 92, and 93 in eliminations. Just straight 3 clean funny car runs. I mean, just a testament to that whole team.
For sure, for them to come out there and do that and come out and be competitive routinely and regularly, but not, oftentimes, run the whole season. And I think that is a testament to what Jim Head is able to get done. And as you write, grizzled veteran, he has been out there and done it all, it seems, in the nitro ranks in drag racing.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Well,
so we got Justin Ashley next now, huh? That's
got Justin Ashley next. Yes, we've got Justin Ashley
fun
next.
Right there.
We're going to go from the funny car nitro ranks to the Top Fuel nitro ranks. And thank you to Justin for stepping in for Stevie Fast Jackson. Stevie, do get better. We want to have you on the show so we can put you on the hot seat, but definitely get rid of that hot fever you've got. So we hope to have you later on, Stevie and Darren. We'll take another break. And after that, we'll have Mr. Justin Ashley on with some chat on the big announcement, I believe, made today. And, well, since we're going to have Justin on the show, we'll use this commercial. Money, money, money. Money. No, I'm joking. No, congratulations on the deal. Congratulations. I'm glad we can have you and talk about that. I know it's in the moment and stepping in for Stevie, but we're glad to have you. Extended the deal. Pretty cool, dude. What's it all about?
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's really exciting. And first of all, I appreciate you guys having me on and the opportunity to talk more about this partnership. But, you guys spoke before I got on about Jim Head and the job that Blake Alexander and that team did in Gainesville. And I just want to reiterate, what a fantastic job they did, because that was an absolute joy to be able to watch and just appreciate how far they've come. They've been through a lot of adversity and they've done a fantastic job, which is no surprise to anybody. And, just proud to race with a team like that. And for us, today was just a tremendous day. We were able to announce our extension for the remainder of the year with Phillips Connect and that partnership. And the important thing about that partnership is what we're able to do on and off the racetrack, right? I think our performance on the racetrack has obviously, it's been good. It's been good over the first few races. Obviously, there's always room for growth and room to improve. But in the business sector, I think, we found a niche for ourselves and we've been able to use motorsports as a great platform. And it's just a great opportunity and a privilege to be able to represent Rob Phillips and Amber White and Jim Epler and the entire Phillips Connect family. So just a great start to an awesome relationship. And we couldn't be more excited to continue on our nitro journey together with everybody as a part of the Phillips family.
I mean, it's kind of like you almost had to. I mean, that paint scheme is so badass. I mean, we want to see it for the rest of the year, right?
Yeah, so it's funny actually about the paint scheme. When we first started working on designing it, Rob Phillips, the CEO of Phillips Connect, he said, "You know what, Justin? I want you to have the sexiest car out there." And then we just took that and worked backwards from there, right? And I think it came out really nice. I think that, nowadays with a lot of paint schemes out there, you see a lot of corporate paint schemes. You see a lot of wild paint schemes, but it's tough to be able to find a balance between the two. And I think that our car does a really good job of finding that balance. So really happy with how the design came out.
Yeah, dragsters have been known to have flames, tribal, the swoosh, whether you're Torrance or Salinas, is very popular. But you all went with corporate, but yet electronics, like schematics on the car. I thought that was a very interesting addition, and it looks fast. It looks good. I like how it looks, and no swoosh. Everybody's doing the swoosh. Schematics.
Yeah, it was a little bit different. I think the circuit boards on the car really look good, and it plays into what Phillips Connect does really well, right? They make smart trailer technology, whether it's cargo cameras, TPMS systems, GPS tracking, and all that involves circuit boards and a lot of smart trailer technology. So it plays into what they do really well. And listen, the car looks good. That's all part of it, right? We want to make sure that the car does a great job of representing our sponsors because it is an important marketing tool. And we've gotten a lot of compliments on it thus far. And, we've got a lot of people who've actually asked for die casts, and I can't say too much right now, but we're working on a few things.
Drag Racing Central definitely needs a diecast. I want a diecast, and I want it signed. I don't just want a diecast. I want it signed. But, yeah, man, as a marketing tool, recently, I believe Greg and Austin, a few others, they were down there in Orlando before the Gators for a trade show in the trucking industry, and the car was displayed. So was it the truck driver magnet that it needed to be?
Yeah, it was. It was great. I mean, this was a great experience for me. So right before the race in Gainesville, it just so happened that TMC, one of the largest trucking trade shows in the industry, was in Orlando that week, that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday before. So, we rolled the car in there, which was a spectacle in and of itself. And the entire Davis Motorsports team, my hat's off to them, because this was not an easy task to be able to put it together and make this happen before the race in Gainesville and then take it Wednesday night in the rain and get it to Gainesville in time. So they just did a fantastic job doing that. But it attracted a lot of people to the booth. And it's funny because when you go to these different trade shows, there's different demographics, there's different types of people. So sometimes you'll stores where people want, sometimes you'll be at trade shows where people just want to talk to you and understand what you do. This particular trade show is interesting because being in the technology business, being in the trucking industry, a lot of people wanted to know the dynamics, the sciences, have an understanding of what actually happens behind the driver's compartment and understand the mechanical aspect of it. So that was new. That was exciting for me to be able to not only put some people in the car, take pictures, but have actual, real, authentic conversations about how these cars actually have 11,000 horsepower and actually go over 330 miles per hour in less than 4 seconds. So just a great group of people. Obviously, it was a spectacle. It was a magnet to the Phillips Connect booth, which means essentially we accomplished our objective. And it was nice to be able to meet Phillips Connect employees, some of Phillips Connect partners, and some potential people to do business with in the future.
Man, that's really awesome, man. And I want to say thank you from Pomona when I got to do the #1 qualifier interview with you after Friday night. I thought that was really cool, taking your time out to do that. So just want to say thank you. But I want to have a little fun real quick because last week out in Gainesville, we had the Top Fuel All-Star call out. And you were saying during like introduction stuff like that, you wanted to play in like the little call out deal. You wanted somebody to call you out and you wanted to play in the call out. So, just got to talk about that. What you how you kind of want to, get into that a little bit.
Yeah, so I know there's been a lot of back and forth. That's a great question. There's been a lot of back and forth about what people think, right? Do we want to go the call-out route? Do we not want to go the call-out route? I like it. And I think if you're ever going to implement it, this is the best way to do it. This is an all-star showdown. 8 of the best drivers you have out there. Obviously, there were some drivers that couldn't qualify for whatever reason that are the top drivers as well. But you take 8 of the top drivers and everyone's got to call each other out. So mentally just going into it, you're like, okay, how do I prepare? Well, Steve Torrence could prepare, because he was #1. He was the only one who knew who he could choose. And there was no prior discussion. No one told us what to do or who to choose. It all fell on the teams and it fell on the drivers. So tried to mentally prepare whether or not I was going to be able to have an opportunity to call someone out or maybe even be called out. And I thought that would be fun. It reminds me of when you're a kid and, you're playing basketball in the backyard and you get to choose, who's on your team. And, when you're a kid, you only want to be picked first, not picked last. But it just reminded me of that. But when we got around to me, I wasn't picked. So I didn't have an opportunity to call anybody out. I wasn't called out. So it was interesting. I was just kind of left there alone, just hanging out. But we made the most of it. It's funny because I had to race Doug. And it's like, do I really want to race this guy now? One of the best to ever do it. And then I look around at the other drivers and I'm like, well, I don't want to race any of those guys either. So it really was a shootout, an all-star shootout. I know it's unfortunate we didn't finish it because of the weather, and there was a whole mental aspect of the shootout that came into it. But we got the round 1 win, and we're moving on to the next round, whatever that may be.
Well, 2 questions. Did you ever find out where Doug was? and what did you think of some of the interesting wagers, and in particular, one of your teammates has got to do now?
Yeah, so that was an interesting wager in and of itself. I did find out that Doug, as we know, the weather wasn't good. So I saw Doug the next day at the autograph session, for Pep Boys, and he told me that he wasn't able to make it in on time. He was stuck at work. By the time he got there with the weather, he was just a little bit late. Understandable. Totally get it. He left me alone, right? But what are you going to do? I was okay. I survived back there. So he flew in, he did for the race. That's really what matters. In terms of Antron's bet, I got to tell you, if he's going to do the Magic Mike dance, right, which I think he has to do, I am glad that I'm not the one who made that bet, because I am not somebody you want to see doing the Magic Mike dance. But I'm impressed, and make no mistake about it, if there's an opportunity for me to be there when he does the Magic Mike dance to hold up his end of the bargain, I would like to be there. Somebody's got to be there to film it. It might as well be me. We know what kind of character he is. I think it'll be fun. I obviously, Antron's my teammate. I wanted him to win, period, always. But listen, I mean, this is a nice little consolation prize. We all get to see him do a little Magic Mike dance. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
Lee, I'll let you take that.
If there is any individual in the Nitro ranks of Top Fuel that I think can pull it off, it is Antron Brown. It is Antron Brown. But fascinating that Brittany went there. Like, Antron, in the rules of wagers, Antron's like breakfast. All right, so typically that would mean I'm going to throw in my favorite meal. But no, Brittany is like out of left field. Magic Mike dance. What?
Smart. She's smart. She wanted to add some flavor, some character into it, and make this bet fun for everybody. I saw that bet. I was like, oh, that's great. That's great. That's awesome. That'll be fantastic. Anytime we can get Antron to do any kind of dancing, show his personality, we're all for it.
Do you feel like the call out in general kind of lived up to the hype? Do you feel like there was enough, good bets and side bets? And I know it would have been hard because it's Duck Coletta, but did you try to make a side bet with Duck Coletta at all?
So, yeah, I think it lived up to the hype. It was unfortunate with the weather, right? But we can't control that. I think other than that, NHRA did a fantastic job. It was outside. It was certainly, I don't want to speak on behalf of the other drivers, but I'll say this. It was outside of my comfort zone. This is not something we're used to doing, having an opportunity to say, hey, I want to race you, or having somebody say, hey, I want to race you. So, it was different. It was outside of our comfort zone, but I think it lived up to the hype, because when we were there, we went into the Top Eliminator Club and did not know what to expect. That place was packed out with sponsors, with family, with fans, with friends, with people who spent money with NHRA and the Top Eliminator Club to be there and experience that. Fox obviously did a great job of filming it, and I thought the TV show was awesome. So I think it lived up to the hype. There was a lot of buildup around it, which I think is great. I think this is what we need, obviously, as a sport, to be able to promote the sport and the drivers behind them and their personalities. In terms of a side bets, no, there was never any kind of side bet. There was really just, we kind of do our talking on the racetrack, and I think Doug's the same way. So I think, knowing both our personalities, we both just wanted to go out there and do the best that we could for our sponsors. So no side bets on our end, nothing like that. But, who knows? We're down to the Final Four now. A lot of time to just side bets, for the semis and the finals here coming up. So you never know. Maybe something will come together.
Okay.
So they have been postponed. They've been postponed to the U.S. Nationals. The last time a Top Fuel race was postponed to the U.S. Nationals. Who won that one, Darren? Who?
I believe our guest right here.
Yeah,
First
that's right.
national event win. Yeah.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
That's right. You feel you got some postponement edge going into the rest of the All-Star call-out, Justin Ashley.
Listen, Lee, there's never an edge. Have you seen this field? Have you seen this field this year? I mean, it is outrageous. It's tremendous. It really is. So, I mean, look, it's nice to be able to go there and say, hey, I've been here before. I've been able to experience 2 races in one day. There must be something about me and races that are getting postponed. I don't really know. I don't know how that's come together, but listen, I'll tell you one thing. I am grateful to have an opportunity to race in this postponed race, because what's the alternative? Not being able to be there and race at all in and of itself. And, it kind of goes back to, this announcement today, the partnership with Phillips Connect, and how exciting that is. That partnership with Phillips Connect allows us to be able to compete in races like this. Everything we do with Chip Lofton and Vitus Seashot and Mark Beaver allows us to race in races like this. This is where you want to be as a driver. They say no pressure, no diamonds, right? This is what it's about. Indy, the U.S. Nationals, everything is on the line. And then on top of it, how about a shootout too? How about a shootout during qualifying? So not only do you have to focus on winning the shootout, you have to focus on qualifying for the biggest race of the year, and then you have to race in the biggest race of the year. So this is what it's about. It's about putting on a good show for the fans, putting our best foot forward for our sponsors and my team. Our team does such a good job. They really do such an amazing job. Everybody in the Davis Motorsports team, make no mistake about it, they have personality and they're going to show it. They're going to be pumped to do this double up race at Indy.
I want to say too, we've seen a lot of pictures of Justin Ashley the first 3 races of the season, and it's been very Larry Dixon like. He's hiking the front end up, got the front wheels off the ground at the hit of the throttle. It's very Larry Dixon like. I love it.
It is. It's exciting, but it adds a little different dynamic to it. Listen, when the car's running good like that, it doesn't matter necessarily how it looks, right? It matters what pops up on the scoreboard, and it matters if a win light comes up. But I'll tell you something, it does look really, really cool. Right. We don't see it that often. We see the chassis flex down the track, which it's obviously doing a great job of, and it's a brand new car, but to see it be able to launch off the starting line like that is special. And I think what's cool about it is the reaction I've gotten from you, from Lee, from the fans, right? It's been such a positive reaction. People love it. It's like almost like it brings them back to the 90s or the early 2000s, or when they watched their favorite driver back then do the same exact thing. So really cool. A different element, a different dynamic to it. And we'll ride this wave out for now.
There's nothing cooler than a drag car carrying the front end for however long it may carry it, whether it's a top fuel dragster funny car to factory stock. It doesn't matter. Carry the front wheels a little bit. It just looks cool. But, Justin, you're getting some experience, carrying the front wheels, and pro mods do that all the time. Old dad ought to recognize and, let you get closer to that door opening sooner.
You got to be careful with those two words. It starts with P, it starts with M. When you put them together, it's pro mod. You got to be careful because I love that class. But no, there's no pro mod in my future. That was all my dad. I have my hands full, still trying to learn how to drive the stop fuel dragster.
Going back to last year, Mike Green has had a real handle on this race car. I mean, you guys have been going down the track so consistent. And then you add Tommy DeLago this year. Just talk about how much of an integral part he is to this team here in 2022.
Yeah, Tommy's great, right? We know the caliber of crew chief Mike and Tommy both are. They're both championship winning crew chiefs. So from a driver's perspective, from a team's perspective, it gives us the utmost confidence going into Friday, Saturday, and of course, race day on Sunday. Mike's done a fantastic job. He is an excellent, excellent leader for this team. And bringing Tommy on board has helped us take that next step. He's had a very important role in this program. And I absolutely love working with Tommy. I really, to be honest with you, had no prior experience with Tommy before this. And in getting to know him really toward the end of last year, now the beginning of this year, he's an excellent, excellent guy, an excellent, excellent teammate, and obviously a fantastic crew chief. He's aggressive, which I absolutely love. And he's a great person to communicate with, which is really important to the team. And it's important to me as a driver. And guys, I have the easy job. I get to sit in the car and drive, and I have the fun job. What's tough is going up into the lounge and looking at all the data and information that they have to go over to be able to make those decisions. And what's tough is being able to put that car together. So Tommy and Mike do a fantastic job of, along with Dustin Davis, of leading this group. And it's really great getting a chance to work with everybody.
So you have mentioned already tonight that this season, this year of Top Fuel, that there is no edge for anyone. It is that chaotic. It is that close in the competition. And you experienced early on this year firsthand in an article, Humbled was used to go from win to out in first round, come back to the Gatornationals, make a semifinal round appearance. Now, you are, as you present yourself, an individual that has his emotions under control. But being human, everybody goes through emotional roller coasters. So take us into the cockpit from win to out first round to semifinal appearance, and what that's all like in a competitive guise.
Yeah, I mean, it takes experience to be able to go through those things, to have a proper understanding of how to handle them. And, in racing, going in that it's going to be up and down. You have 22 races going into the year, and you're going to put your best foot forward and expect to win every race, period. But at the same time, it's just not always going to happen. And it's not always going to go your way. And what really defines a good team are the ones that are be able to not ride that emotional roller coaster. We know what our ultimate goal is each race, and we know what our ultimate goal is at the end of the season. So from my perspective, from a driver's perspective, and from a team's perspective, it's pretty simple. We learn and we move forward. That's the best that we can do. Obviously, we went out, we did great in Pomona, and we enjoyed it. But we went out and we didn't necessarily meet our expectations. We lost early on in round 1 to a really tough competitor in Arizona, and it was a step back. We were able to learn from it, move forward, and apply some of those things to Gainesville and beyond. That's what it's about. That's all we have to do is handle it with professionalism, handle it with class, learn from it, and move on to the next race. So from my perspective, I think that our team has done a fantastic job of doing that. They always have. It's not about riding that emotional roller coaster. That's never going to be a good thing. And it takes experience to understand that and really focus on the outcome, really focus on the outcome of the season as a whole. Not saying you're only as good as your last race, but really look at everything from a wider lens and realize how far we've come and how good we are doing so far. So, it just takes time, takes experience. But from my perspective, it's just everything's a learning experience. Otherwise, it's really a waste. You got to learn from everything, good or bad, and moving on to the next one.
For you, you're obviously you were an athlete in the back in the day. We talk about athletes, it's the short-term memory, whether it's a missed shot or something like that. It's, we forgot about it right then and there. Do you kind of have that mentality? And, after a first round loss, how soon are you able to get that out of your head? And it's like, hey, we're moving on to the next one just like that.
Yeah. So I'm going to be honest with you. I think that's one of the best attributes of professional athletes and good athletes is they have a short memory. You see it. Those are the best athletes. That is not my strength, unfortunately. It is something that I'm working on, is having a shorter memory. I have a tendency to go back and say, oh, I could have done this better. I could have done that better. Even in races that we've won, races that we've lost, it doesn't matter. I just happen to have a tendency to think, for good reason, because I want to improve. I want to help our team win. I am getting better. That was actually one of my goals going into this year, was to kind of have a shorter memory, and just cut it off as soon as I leave the racetrack. So it's something that's, constantly a work in progress. It goes into the human psychology, the human element behind being a race car driver, behind being a drag racer, behind being an athlete. So, I've made progress on that end. And I think that, I'll continue to make progress and be able to cut it off as soon as that race is over. But, you bring up a very good point. That is what makes elite athletes elite. That's a big part of it, is being able to have, a 10-second rule, if you will, which is, think about it for 10 seconds, learn from it and move forward. And that's it. So constantly a work in progress. And, something that, takes time, takes experience.
That also shows confidence, though, right? In my opinion, if you're able to just get that out of the way, just like, hey, I missed the shot or I went out first round, but shows confidence that, hey, even though I went out first round, next race, I'm going to come back, do good. And, everything's good right there. So I don't know. Do you think that just shows like kind of confidence in a way?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think they say, right, when you fall off a horse, the best thing to do is get right back on. And that's what it's about. You want to get right back in the cockpit. You have to have short memory, forget about it. Whatever happened in the past cannot matter, especially in this sport, in any sport, but especially in this sport, because these runs are, 3.7 seconds, hopefully, right? That's what you want, is 3.7 seconds essentially now or less. And there is no room to be mentally clogged up with anything that happened in the past or anything you're worried about in the future. You have to be focused on the present. And I think that when you get to this level, the drivers and the teams are separated by such small margins, such small increments, that what separates greatness from people who are just average and people who are good and win a race here and there, or people who might not be where they want to be right now, is mentality. A lot boils down to mentality and being able to, to thrive under the pressure of 22 races, because it is a lot. And the key is to not ride that emotional roller coaster, to not worry about what happened in the past, to not have a short memory, but to be focused on only positive things, focused on the future, and putting your team in a good position to win.
Gotcha.
Darren, you know what I think can definitely help someone's mental focus?
What's up?
Is having good wheels at home. Justin, let's talk about that new truck you got from Toyota. What you thinking about it, man?
That is a great segue, Lee. Thank you for that segue. Very, very well done. Yeah, so I have so the people at Toyota were kind enough to send me a Toyota Tundra, which is awesome. So I just, full transparency, I was never a pickup guy. I never drove a pickup. It actually worked out good for me being in the fix and flip industry to be able to have a Tundra. It was very practical, obviously, for carrying materials back and forth. It beats the heck out of renting a truck from Home Depot. That much I could tell you. But this Toyota Tundra is a beast, man. It's awesome. The minute you drive it, you realize how powerful it actually is. And the interior is just beautiful. It's mint. It's super nice. I mean, I've only been a part of the Toyota family for a short period of time, but from everything Antron Brown told me, they are a family, and you can see it right away. I'm just excited to be a part of that family and to join that group of Toyota drivers, everyone in NHRA, everyone in NASCAR and beyond. They do such a fantastic job of supporting their drivers on and off the racetrack. And now I'm driving around in my Toyota Tundra, and I absolutely love it. It's a fantastic car, and I'm in New York, so it's perfect for being in New York too, with the weather cycle and the snow and everything. That's what I needed, really, is a good everyday driver, and I have it now.
Hey, Lee, we hit the strip. Yeah, I guess you could say that.
If we were in Pomona and I go up to Antron strapped in the car, I kind of kneel down next to him. Hey, man, how you doing? He's like, yo, dude. I'm like, you still got a horsepower hangover? And he just laughed and I laughed. That was a great commercial. I love what Toyota overall does with its athletes, does with these people in motorsports, and not just NASCAR, but they rope in the NHRA. They rope in the people that are elsewhere in motorsports for Toyota across the world. And I wish Ford, I wish Chevy, I wish all the other ones would do it too, and showcase people behind a wheel as the superstars they really are. Because, dude, you're going 330 miles per hour, give or take. Like, what percentage of the population really does that? Like a percent, a half? Right. Yeah.
Like, Toyota makes their drivers look like stars. They promote them as stars, and that's what I love.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I think Toyota does do a great job of that. You guys hit it head on. They're about building the brand of the driver. When you build the brand of the driver, you help build their team and build their sponsors. And they do a great job of building the Toyota brand, but also attaching it to each individual. So you really start to see the drivers' personalities come out, i.e. that commercial, that horsepower hangover commercial. When I first saw that commercial, I was dying, cracking up, because we all know the type of person Antron Brown is. To see him thrive in that role was fantastic. He's such a good representative for the sport on and off the racetrack and for his sponsors. I enjoy sitting back and watching it and learning from it, to be honest with you. So yeah, Toyota just does an awesome job.
Well, Justin, with Toyota doing an awesome job, your team doing an awesome job, we definitely look forward to the rest of the year. And look, man, I want to see you in the Toyota celebrity race. We need to get you in that. It happens like at Long Beach, and you race celebs. We need to get you in that. I think Antron's been in it before. Yeah, I want to see you go left and right in a little Corolla? Is that what they run?
You sure you want to see me go left and right? I don't know about that.
Yes,
We're about to find out, though, right?
Right, yes. So hopefully you're in that. But more than that, hopefully you nab this all-star. Hopefully you nab yourself a championship and many more races along with it. Because, look, the wall is becoming more decorated, and that's good to see, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Listen, you guys do a fantastic job. Just so you know, when I'm not on, I'm always listening. So I think you guys do an awesome job, really, top to bottom. Everybody Competition Plus, Bobby Bennett, but you guys are doing awesome, man. It's just a pleasure to be on. Just really enjoy it.
Thanks, man. I hope to have you again soon and see you at the track soon. And by the way, tell your dad I'll talk with him.
Yeah, I'll let him know. We'll see what we can do. Thanks, guys. I'll see you guys at the track. I'm going to head out and take a Vita C shot really quick to get myself energized. I'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, Justin.
Yeah, Justin in the celebrity race. Antron, a few others. I think that'd be cool, man.
The thing is, though, I don't think it's sponsored by Toyota anymore.
No,
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think Toyota sponsors that anymore. They don't sponsor the Long Beach Grand Prix anymore, I don't think. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I know Acura took it over for a while, but I don't even know if they're sponsoring it still. I'm not sure who has the naming rights to the race anymore.
That was such a cool deal to see these celebs, and especially like the girls, like, I'm going so fast, and they're not. and then you'd have like Patrick Dempsey. He'd be out there like before his racing days, all like, I thought it was great.
So the guy at the beginning of the show, I forgot his name. Did he say I look like Eddie Murphy? That's the first time I've ever heard that.
Yeah. So Axel Foley was played by Eddie Murphy. So Beverly Hills Cop 1, 2, and 3. I personally think 2's the best out of all of them. I'm just saying, that's me.
Yeah, and I'm like, I've never heard that before, but wow. Okay, we'll go with it.
Go with it.
We'll go with it. Go with
Eddie.
it.
You're Eddie from now. No, you're not. No, you're not.
No.
Hey,
But
Scott Malpass brings up a great point because there was a whole lot of drag racing from the Gatornationals to now. He says, who wrecked more cars this weekend, NASCAR or TX2K or Texas 2K? Dude, that was some insane type of drag racing down there at Houston Raceway Park. And yes, I think we saw more supercars get totaled in that event than what usually even happens at a Cars and Coffee.
dude, so obviously I don't have Flow Racing, but I saw what I saw on social media, and the racing was amazing. Like great side by side racing from this, like you said, supercars. But a lot of dudes, especially in that right hand lane, getting into the wall, and it's just like I'm happy everybody got out okay. That's the first thing. I'm happy everybody was able to get out okay. But man, that was some wild stuff. It was entertaining, and they're coming back to do it again next year. How? I don't know how, but because we're talking about this is the final Houston national event, but they're coming back to Houston next year. So, but I'm looking forward to see how it all plays out. I mean, that was a pretty cool deal.
Yes, it was. And let me say this too. Base got struggling, and they stopped the celebrity race years ago. They shouldn't have. That's all I gotta say.
So that is a shout out. That is the guy who helps me out on American Horror Entertainment. Does a lot of filming for me. So I want to say shout out to him.
They should not have. But it was exciting down there in Houston for sure. And it also brought up an interesting situation with the NHRA, though, because as we understand, this weekend, this event coming up after Las Vegas, Houston, will be the last NHRA national event at Houston Raceway Park. But it was announced that this particular event does have yet a date in 2023. Some might think that a bit strange.
So I was doing a little digging on social media because I was wondering. I was like, when I saw the announcement, I'm like, hey, that's kind of funny. I was like, so I went through social media, and so somebody was like, does this mean there's a Houston national event for NHRA next year in 2023? And then Houston Raceway Park actually responded and was saying, well, we're able to have this 2K22 race, which would be 2K23 next year. We're able to have this race because the lease we'll still have the lease when the date comes up. But I'm like, so you're telling me, like you said, we talked about this yesterday. So you're telling me the lease ends in between the date of the 2K23 and the Houston National event because it's only a month apart. So I'm like, yeah, that's crazy.
Right. It does seem that way, but there may be issues on, for example, the NHRA side contractually, they may not have a 1-year contract with these tracks. That might be interesting when we're able to talk with someone in the upper echelons of NHRA and who makes and strikes those type of deals. What do the contracts look like? Are they 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10-year type of contracts, or from track to track? Are they different situations? Because I know from the NASCAR world, the contracts have been getting smaller and smaller, where they used to be larger than what they are now. And I think smaller contracts for annual terms are better than longer ones because it's very possible to have a greater variety of venues within a season.
Okay, so I want to ask you this then. You mentioned NASCAR. So before I do that, talking about Houston, we're coming up on the 20th anniversary of when John Force scored his 100th national event win in Houston back in 2002. How crazy is that? We're coming off the 30th anniversary of Bernstein's 300. We're coming up on the 20th anniversary of John Force's 100th win at Houston. Just want to throw that out there real quick. But
imagine that from Darren Williams, fanboy of John Force Jr.
20th anniversary of John Force's 100th win. Wow. But you mentioned NASCAR, right? And their track contracts. And I know as far as the NHRA side, we have to build these tracks first and stuff like that. But do you feel like, we've seen more road courses. We've seen what they did to Atlanta. We've seen how the newer tracks have come on the NASCAR schedule. Do you think NHRA needs to add some different, locations on the schedule and to make it, just kind of spruce up the schedule a little bit?
I think that would be exciting. But from many that I have talked to, they already feel that the schedule has too many races. They'd like to see it to be 20 and under, if not even less with some that I've talked to. I would love to see a rotation of more tracks. I would prefer only to see one visit per track, if that could be worked out with. Maybe staying on the lot and doing 2 weekends in a row and getting 2 point meets in at one track possibly, or a double header type situation. I think there's some things to experiment with to still have a great number of national events, to spread the wealth of the NHRA brand, whether it is door slammer only, national events, Nitro's not there, or Nitro. I don't know. I would love to see some different venues, but something we're running into, Darren, is, well, not every venue is set up to run even 1,000-foot Nitro cars. They're running, 337 miles per hour at the Gatornationals. There is simply not every facility is set up to run those cars safely.
That is true. But where I'm kind of coming in from is, so like you said, we're losing Houston, right? Well, would you like to see a brand new racetrack at Circuit America as we move to Austin? With obviously that wouldn't be, within the next 2 or 3 years or something like that, but kind of like that. We lose Houston, but we make up for it in Austin or something like that. You know what I mean?
Certainly. And, Alexis DeJoria apparently has some insider info to that and knows people at Circuit of the Americans. She mentioned on WFO Joe's show, Joe Costello's show, WFO Radio, that there are musings about possibly having a drag strip at Circuit of the Americas, and that would give Texas another date. Again, the market that Texas is, you could have 3 other drag races if you wanted to, almost. But I think that would be phenomenal. Why? That would bring NHRA drag racing to a facility that has experienced MotoGP, V8 supercars, NASCAR of its top series, including Xfinity and Cup, and the number 1 motorsport in the world, frankly, yes, popularity-wise, that's F1. And it would put it on the map with those sanctioning bodies. And I think that's good for the NHRA all the way around. And that if they did a facility, it would certainly be another world-class facility.
State of the art. State of the art.
It would have to be.
Yeah, definitely. And then, so you talk about, Homestead Miami Speedway, in that market. And I know this is all logistics. This is just me having a dream and a vision and stuff like that. But you talk about Homestead Miami. You talk about F1 going to Miami soon. What if we were able to build a track like I said, everybody, this is just like a dream of mine. So I'm just throwing stuff out there. But we were able to have a market in Miami. How cool would that be? Going to Miami for the drag races. That'd be so cool, right?
I think, and sadly, we are going to be losing Palm Beach International. I believe that's how that track is named. Sadly, it's going by the wayside, but the Southern Florida market is a market in and of itself. Though you run in Gainesville, unless you've ever been to Florida, look, Miami is still a long ways down there from Gainesville. Gainesville is serving a completely different market, not the entire market of Florida. So we certainly could have a Southern Florida event. And also, maybe NHRA drag racing has got to figure out a way. Maybe it's not a dedicated facility that you go to each and every year, or that has weekly bracket racing. Maybe it's built one-off for that event, and you don't even visit that market until 5 years later. Maybe it's something like that. For example, NASCAR with the Coliseum, they may not be racing there next year, or they're at least already talking about moving it to other stadiums where it would fit. I think that's wise. I think that would work for the NHRA. Also, there are talks, there are plans, and you can easily find this on the web, that Hattiesburg, Mississippi will be getting a premier motorsports facility, including a drag strip for NHRA national events. So that's a market that I do believe is definitely untapped, not just in motorsports, but even the stick and ball sport world in that area.
I agree. And here goes a great comment right here from Dave W. He says, there are too many major markets. Don't bring a race near a densely populated area in hopes of drawing in 2% of the population. Go to a market you know the fans are passionate and will come. And he makes a great point. I mean, I never thought of it that way, but that is very true.
It is. For example, NASCAR. When was the last time they raced in the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah.
They're not that well received in that market.
Yes.
And that's one of the beauties of drag racing is it seems to almost be universally, though niche, received to some degree, because we have it all around the world in one shape, form, or fashion or another. And it is a simple premise. A to B, whoever gets there first wins. Obviously, bracket racing, different story. Let's not go there. But yes, don't always go to, oh, this big market, therefore we're going to have a bunch of people come from this market. No, stick with your fan base. Stick with your core to some extent. Figure out ways to tap into a larger market by getting the feet wet. And instead of just, oh, we're going to plant roots and this is going to work no matter what, and we are going to make it happen. Because guess what? It might not happen.
Coliseum, perfect thing, right? Coliseum,
Yes.
perfect example.
Yes.
Right there.
Hey, give it a shot. See how it happens. See what happens. If it doesn't work, fine. It didn't work. But I think the biggest issue with the NHRA is what other facilities are out there that can handle it. I've heard of some people mention Valdosta. I've never been to Valdosta, actually, as it's only 5 hours down the road. I've never actually been there. I don't know if it's a facility that could handle it or not. Tulsa, I've heard good things about Tulsa, and I've also had others say like, I don't know. So I'm like, okay. And the people saying that aren't just fans; they're people in the sport. They're like general managers. They're people who, they manage the track and they're legitimate voices. So I don't know. Maybe Tulsa isn't one of them. I'm not sure.
I've never been to Tulsa, but I've seen pictures of Tulsa. So the NHRA Heritage Series actually runs a race in Tulsa. It's called the Nitronationals, and it brings a pretty good crowd. So there's one side that's a pretty big, huge side to bring in fans, but there is another side that is very small that wouldn't be able to hold national event level. But like if they can build that up, then yeah. But I don't see why Tulsa couldn't handle a national event. I think it'd be great. It's a great facility. Like I said, from what I've seen from pictures, the Heritage Series guys put down great numbers there. So I think it lives up to national event standards, in my opinion.
Yes. And remember, there are tracks out there that at one time did hold an IHRA national event. If you could get them to come under the NHRA banner, we would possibly increase the tracks that were capable of holding a NHRA national event. I think one, for example, what used to be Red River Dragway, I raced there as a kid in junior dragsters. It was a great event, and it did have IHRA national events. So that might be a location, which Epping is one of those tracks. Norwalk, in fact, is one of those tracks. So it's possible. And there was even someone who hinted, I believe it was Brian Loans, of possibly going back to Columbus.
I would love that. I don't know. I would love that. The old Spring Nationals. I would love that. Hey, we're losing the Spring Nationals, so yeah, let's do it. Let's bring back the old Spring Nationals.
He hinted at it. I believe it was an Instagram post. Maybe it was a Twitter post. I cannot remember which one correctly. But there was a hint of maybe we'll make a return with a national event. Definitely there would need to be some work done to that track. It has an extremely short shutdown area. But I still think it's an area and a market worth going to, and it definitely has the history behind it for sure.
When are we going to do that? Make up our own NHRA schedule list.
We need to do that. We need to do that.
Yeah.
We need to do that. We need to get that together and put that video out. You've got some good thoughts. I've got some good thoughts. They are balanced and weighted by people in the sport. And yes, take fan favorites. And yes, sadly, Michael, would love to have E-Town back too, but that is a drifting pad now. So sad. So sad.
So with these tracks that we're losing, you talk about E-Town, it was the Summer Nationals for a while, it was the Super Nationals for a while, Houston, the Super Nationals for a while, then it was the Spring Nationals. Do we give these, Spring Nationals like these epic, names that NHRA's had for many years? Do we put these now on new tracks, or do they just lose the whole Super Nationals, Summer Nationals, Spring Nationals moniker altogether? I mean, we have to give these, these tracks that we have now like those names, right? I would think.
I will say to that, I never want ZMAX to have the title Southern Nationals.
Okay.
To me, if we're going to have another Southern Nationals, it's got to be in the heart of Dixie country.
I can see that one.
It's got to be Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia. And I've got some thoughts on drag racing still in Georgia, in the Atlanta market, because that wasn't a demand issue. That was an issue of where the land became so valuable, it didn't make business sense to keep running a drag strip. And that's what happened as things continue to grow there on the I-85 corridor, which, by the way, Darren, I've got to get down the road pretty soon on I-85 through Atlanta on Interstate 20 to get to Ennis, Texas for the Funny Car Classic of Funny Car Chaos. Over 60 funny cars, nitro burners, injected, alcohol burners, all different shapes, forms, size, colors, even polka dotted, I bet, at Funny Car Chaos. It's where I'm going to be this weekend, and I'm looking forward to it.
Have fun, man. It's going to be dope. Have fun. Live it up.
I am going to have fun. Well, Darren, look, it has been a great show. Good to have you on. I'm going to step aside, and we're going to give you the honors of shutting the Competition Plus Power Hour presented by Weldon High Performance down.
Putting the pressure on, man. Putting the pressure. Well, thank you, everybody. My name is Darren Williams Jr. I want to give a big shout out and thank you to Bobby Bennett for trusting me first and allowing me to be on the show and host for Sam here this week. Been a freaking honor, and I've been knowing Ali for a long time. He's been a big supporter of mine. So I want to say thank you all for tuning in tonight, and we'll catch you guys next week. Good night, everybody.